In the bustling heart of Chicago, where the wind whipped through the streets like an old friend with a grudge, Sarah Jenkins clutched her worn leather wallet as she hurried home from her second shift at the diner. It was one of those biting autumn evenings when the sky hung low and gray, mirroring the weight on her shoulders. Inside that wallet was every last dollar she had scraped together. Rent money for the tiny apartment she shared with her 8-year-old son, Tommy, who dreamed of becoming a firefighter, but lately worried more about whether they'd have heat for the winter. As she crossed the crowded intersection near Millennium Park, a sudden gust snatched the wallet from her hand, sending it skittering into the chaos of commuters and tourists. In that frozen moment, Sarah's heart plummeted, a silent scream echoing in her chest. Little did she know, this loss would unravel into a thread of unexpected grace, weaving back to her with more than she could imagine. Sarah's life had been a series of quiet battles since her husband passed away 3 years earlier in a construction accident. She worked tirelessly, flipping burgers by day and waitressing by night, all while tucking Tommy into bed with stories of heroes who always saved the day. But heroes seemed scarce in her world. That wallet held not just cash but memories. A faded photo of her late husband smiling with Tommy on his shoulders, a library card from their weekend adventures, and a crumpled note from Tommy saying, "Mummy is my superhero." When she realized it was gone, Sarah dropped to her knees on the sidewalk, searching frantically amid the indifferent rush of feet. Tears blurred her vision as panic clawed at her throat. How would she explain to her landlord? How could she face Tommy's innocent eyes, knowing she'd failed to keep their fragile home intact? She reported it to the police, but their sympathetic nods offered little hope. Lost wallets in the city rarely found their way back. Miles away in a modest apartment on the south side, Alex Ramirez sifted through the day's clutter in his beat-up pickup truck. At 25, Alex was piecing together his own shattered dreams. He'd grown up in a tight, knit Mexican-American family, but after his parents' small grocery store went under during the pandemic, he'd taken on odd jobs, delivering packages, fixing cars, to support them and his younger sister, Mia, who battled a rare autoimmune disease. Medical bills piled up like unanswered prayers, and Alex often skipped meals to stretch their budget. That evening, as he parked near the park after a long delivery run, something caught his eye on the pavement. A simple brown wallet, scuffed and unassuming. He picked it up, feeling its weight, and his first thought was the temptation that flickered like a shadow. Extra cash could mean another doctor's visit for Maya. But as Alex opened it, curiosity turned to empathy. The photo inside stopped him cold, a woman with kind eyes, a boy beaming with joy, and a man whose absence seemed to echo in the empty spaces. He recognized the look of quiet desperation in the sparse contents. $200 in crumpled bills, a few credit cards, and that child's note. It reminded him of his own family's struggles, the nights his mother cried over bills while pretending everything was fine. Alex sat in his truck, the engine ticking as it cooled, wrestling with his conscience. Keeping it would ease his pain, but at what cost to this stranger? He thought of Isabela's words, whispered in Spanish during family dinners: "Kindness is the light we pass in the dark." With a deep breath, he decided to return it. But as he counted the money, an idea bloomed. A small act to tip the scales. From his glove compartment, he pulled out $50, his tip from a generous customer that day, and slipped it in. It wasn't much, but perhaps it could spark a ripple. The next morning, Sarah woke with a hollow ache, having barely slept. Tommy sensed her distress, hugging her tightly before school with a promise to draw her a picture of them as superheroes. She dragged herself to work, her mind replaying the loss like a broken record. Meanwhile, Alex traced the wallet's owner through the ID inside. Sarah Jenkins, address listed in a neighborhood not far from his road. He drove there during his lunch break, heart pounding with a mix of nerves and resolve. The building was old but sturdy, with kids playing hopscotch on the cracked sidewalk. He knocked on the door, and when Sarah answered, her face pale and drawn, he held out the wallet like an offering. At first, Sarah stared in disbelief, her hands trembling as she took it. She flipped it open, counting the money twice, her eyes widening at the extra 50. Confusion washed over her, then gratitude so profound it brought fresh tears. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice cracking. Alex shifted awkwardly, explaining how he'd found it near the park. He didn't mention the added cash at first, but Sarah pressed, and he admitted it softly, saying he knew what it was like to teeter on the edge. "My sister's sick," he shared, "and every dollar counts. But seeing your boy's note, it felt right to give a little more." Sarah invited him in for coffee, and as they sat at her small kitchen table, stories poured out like rain after a drought. Sarah spoke of her husband's accident, the way grief had hollowed her out, leaving her to rebuild alone. Tommy's laughter was her anchor, but the financial strain threatened to pull them under. Alex nodded, opening up about his family's store closing, Maya's endless treatments, and the quiet fear that he couldn't save them all. In that shared vulnerability, a bond formed, not of pity but of mutual recognition. Two strangers, both fighting invisible wars, found solace in each other's humanity. Sarah offered him a slice of homemade apple pie, a rare treat she'd baked for Tommy, and Alex accepted, his eyes misting. It was a simple exchange, but it mended something deep within them both. As the conversation deepened, an emotional twist emerged. Sarah revealed that the extra cash would cover not just rent, but a small birthday gift for Tommy, a toy fire truck he'd eyed in a store window. Alex's face lit up. He confessed that as a kid, he'd wanted to be a mechanic to fix the world, one part at a time. They laughed through tears, realizing how kindness had looped their lives together. But the real turn came when Sarah checked her voicemails later that day. A job offer from a better, paying office position she'd applied for months ago, one that would ease her burdens. It felt like fate's gentle nudge, sparked by Alex's act. Word of the returned wallet spread quietly in their circles. Sarah told her coworkers, who marveled at the honesty in a city often painted as cold. Alex shared with his family, and Mia, from her hospital bed, smiled weakly, saying it was proof that good hearts still beat strong. A week later, Sarah surprised Alex with a care package, groceries and a handmade card from Tommy thanking the mystery hero. Alex, in turn, connected Sarah with a community support group for single parents, where she found not just resources but friendships that lightened her load. In the end, what began as a gust of wind's cruel theft blossomed into a testament of human connection. Sarah and Tommy kept their home, and with the new job, brighter days dawned. Alex's family rallied, inspired by his choice, and Maya's condition stabilized enough for hope to take root. The extra cash was more than money. It was a bridge between souls, reminding them that even in loss, abundance could return twofold. This story of Sarah and Alex shows us that kindness isn't always grand gestures. It's the quiet choices we make when no one's watching, the extra mile we go because we've walked in similar shoes. In a world that can feel overwhelming, these acts restore our faith in one another. If this tale touched your heart, give it a like, subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories for more uplifting narratives, and share it with someone who needs a reminder of hope today. Together, we can spread the power of empathy and keep the chain of compassion alive.